So my name is Vladimir. I work in Lyft, and it's like division that makes like autonomous vehicles, and I work there on application of deep learning, traditional computer vision, and just deep learning part of the computer vision, two different tasks. I will not talk about this because NDA and everything else. So today I'll talk about how to make skills that I developed at Kaggle and maybe knowledge that I can get from Kaggle from other participants, from the forum, kernels, and other sources, to be more productive at work, to bring self-driving closer. Again, I won't talk about self-driving, but I'll talk more about skills. One of the points and one of the reasons why I want to talk about this is because I learned word data science about 4 years ago, and I finishing a physics degree. I wrote my dissertation, and then participated in Kaggle, and within few months I got in top 200, and I thought I'm good, and I felt that I'm good, and I started looking for jobs, and no one cared. I believe many of you know this experience, selling your Kaggle achievements when you look for a job is close to impossible. It may happen, and it happened for me a few times when I was looking for a job, but it's really, really hard. Lucky, from time to time miracle happens. For example, before Lyft, I was working in a company named TrueAccord. It's a debt collection agency, so I was writing recommender systems using machine learning to collect debts. At the same time, I wanted to go to apply deep learning, exciting computer vision and self-driving. Yeah, sounds cool. And you apply for a job, and you know how it ends. Still, happened. Yeah, let's talk about this. What else to say? Computer vision engineer, Kaggle Grandmaster, Ph.D. in physics, good. Yeah, one more thing. I believe for people that have background in physics, for them machine learning goes significantly better than for those that do computer science. Okay, so question before we actually start. How many of you have Kaggle experience? When I mean Kaggle experience, trained at least one model, maybe Titanic, and did at least one submission? Could you please raise hands? I love your audience, because typically, you give talk at the meetup about Kaggle, some deep learning or something else, and you're just almost no one is cool. How will you interpret my words? But yeah, your experience is exciting. How many of you are Kaggle masters or Kaggle grandmasters? Wow, actually pretty good. Okay, how many of you are students or grad students? Still, big chunk of the people. Nice. Okay, let's start. Okay, so it's Kaggle Days, so here's my Kaggle profile, my name, my picture. As you can see, I was my highest rating in competitions was 19th, and it was about a year ago when I got this Grandmaster title. Year after this, I didn't do that much and invested more into competitions in conjunction with CVPR and some other conferences. They have their own flavor, although they're not as exciting as Kaggle competitions. And you see my rating, my rank right now. Right now it's actually 119. 102 was last week when I was preparing presentation. Okay, next. Okay, so where do I work? As I already mentioned, Lyft is ride-sharing company. For those that live in United States, they know it's copy of Uber if you want, or main competitor, or company that will overcome Uber sometime soon. Anyway. So basically, yeah, Lyft is its main business is ride sharing. In addition, as everyone else in Silicon Valley, Lyft is also investing into building self-driving cars. We're doing pretty well. Again, I will not tell you details. And I'm working there, applying deep learning to computer vision and other tasks. And Kaggle experience and knowledge that you get from Kaggle is ultra important, ultra helpful, and allows me to bring a lot of value to the company. Yeah, which is cool. Okay, next. So let's talk about, what do we have? For any problem that I'm facing at work or in general, I would like at the beginning to ask two questions. What do I have and what do I want? And then think about how to bridge the gap between these two questions. So what do we have? There are enormous amount of computer vision competitions at Kaggle, TopCode, Driven Data, and many other platforms, and of course in conjunction to CVPR, BKI, and other conferences. Hundreds of people work on every challenge, and I really like this. At the same time, gladiator type environment when real-time leaderboard and people overcome, trying to squeeze fifth digit after the decimal point, don't sleep at nights, and this good fighting. At the same time, it's very collaborative. People share knowledge at the forums, share their solutions, share code, which is really, really cool. So, and at the same time, we have a lot of applications for computer vision in industry. Unlike, let's say, reinforcement learning, I know few applications of it in the industry, but at the same time, technology is very immature right now at the moment to be useful in production. Computer vision, on the other hand, few years ago, 3, maybe 4 years ago, people were talking, oh my God, so cool, computer vision, deep learning, we're beating human performance, we are not like everyone else, so exciting. Right now, it became a routine. Right now, the question is like, if you have some industrial problem and there is some imagery, how to build models to map data into money. And like in many companies, and plenty of you in this audience are successful in doing this well. Okay, so that's what do we have. What do we want? So like there are like two questions. Is it possible to use knowledge that is developed at the competitions to bring the value to the company, to be more productive, again, to help to map more data into more money, and just, things that we do at work. And at the same time, second question, when I talk to my co-workers and many other people, and just tell me, guys, investing into competition, some part of your free or maybe even work time, it's a really good investment. It can boost your productivity, it can move you to another level, which again mean more exciting problem, you'll be more productive, and maybe your salary will be higher, and can open you some doors. But should you do this or not? If you already have full-time job. For students, it's mandatory. You just there is no discussion. You invest into Kaggle, that's it. I don't care how. You can sleep less if you want. But for people that have full-time job, you still need to think, does it worth it or not? Okay, so that's what we want. Issue, why do we even have this question? Because machine learning competitions and machine learning industry are really different. To my knowledge, maybe Anthony can correct me, but 0 top Kaggle solutions went to production, really 0. For example, I know this story, Dmitry and Stanislav Semyonov got first place in some competition, I don't remember, Bimbo, something like this at some point, and then I knew that my friend was hired a year later by this company to parse this solution, to extract something there and get this to production. For the whole year, their data science team was struggling to do something with this, and it's just typically no exception. So as a winner at Kaggle, you need to present it, to get money, you need to present your solutions to organizers. And when you talk to the data science team, typically, you just no, guys, there is no way that you'll just be able to take our complex solution and extract knowledge from this, just partially because solutions are complex and something. Okay, so what do we have in industry? Typically, when you work in the industry and you your boss or maybe some other planning or OKRs or something like this, and someone tells you, you need to solve this problem, develop this model, do something about this. And first question that I'm asking, should I? Because what value will it bring? What problems will it solve? Do we have even data to this? What other teams will be unblocked? Do we really need to solve this problem? It's very important question. I know a lot of cases when people were excited about modeling part, numeric part, they tried to solving this, and no one cared about model. No one will use it. There is no. I see people nodding in the audience. Either they were in this boat or they're just seeing this happening. So second one, of course, you want as a part of the business, you want to maximize money or revenue or something like this. And revenue is one thing, and your ROCAUC or something like this is different. How to choose the metric, how to approximate this, business metric that you're doing with your models. It's really tricky, and it doesn't come plenty of experiences there. Another thing, guys, we're talking about AutoML, hyperparameter tuning, and some other great things. Typically, many problems can be closed with the new data. You look where your models doesn't work, look for the corner cases, data that represented future or whatever, distributions you want to apply. You add this to the train set, validation, good enough. Hyperparameter tuning is cute, but in 90% of the cases, just doesn't worth it. Many things can be addressed just with the proper data. So, and second one, okay, when you work on a complex project, for example, Lyft has offices in many cities and many countries. Often you have a project that involves your team, other teams, people in different time zones, and they have different background, how to interact, how to build this relationship, how to make it happen. Just, it's pretty complex. And of course, models should be accurate, light, and fast, especially if you're talking about embedded devices, but even when you're running something in the cloud or websites, accurate, yeah. And of course, you writing your code, someone should read this later on, it should be someone will build on top of this. In Silicon Valley, on average, people work 1.5 years in one company, and if you're expecting your model living longer than this, for sure, someone will build on top of this, and you need to invest into code that you're writing, pipelines, ETAs, and everything else. Competitions, there is defined task. Just it's well-defined. Metric is defined. Data, here's the data. Of course, there can be some work in terms of, for many competitions, it is allowed to use external data as long as you announce this at the forum. And there is another trick widely used by Kaggle Grandmasters and not widely used by other people. It is allowed in Kaggle competitions to, let's say if you're talking about images, to add additional labels to the trained data. Let's say you have like object detection or some like classification. You can basically, for your trained set, to label like, bounding boxes to enrich your training data set, which allows you like to move to the top. Pretty common trick, requires some like extra time, but still, everything's kind of fixed. Teamwork is, again, really different. So most successful teams at Kaggle are formed through the leaderboard. Sometimes like people like write me, let's form a team. I didn't even look at the data. I didn't even know that competition exists. Or at work, my coworkers say, okay, Vladimir, let's just like do like participate in competition. Like, it's all cute. It doesn't work this way. Unlike industry in competitions, and you guys know this, like the best way to form a team, you iterate by yourself, you have pipeline, you struggle, survive, do something like this, you get stuck. And there's, let's say, a couple weeks before the end, then you look around yourself at the leaderboard and look for some folks and ping them. And like, if you can ping folks that's significantly higher, but chances that will team up with you like a bit lower. Guys that's significantly lower than you, you may be not interested because you want someone who can bring value to the team. So the two of you will be more powerful than like independently. But at the same time, your skill set is very similar. Both of you independently develop these pipelines, maybe these ideas, maybe even different languages, but still your skills are very similar. Okay, model should be accurate, could be slow. For example, I remember there was competition about Amazon, like Forest, Kaggle. It was MNIST type problem, very easy, very straightforward for everyone. None of us, among my friends, didn't want to solve it, but we wanted, cheap, gold medal, and we had a lot of hardware, so we formed a team of 7 Kaggle masters, and we stacked 480 models. Just because, in Carvana, if you have hardware and you don't want to solve the problem, sometimes there's some numerical tricks to replace your human time by this type. Yes, we did this, but because problem was boring. If it was more exciting, we'd probably invest more time into this, less numerical and more human being. Okay, so, and of course, any code quality. When you're prototyping, proof of concept, or minimum viable product, as we call this in industry, you basically move fast, break things. You do this code, no one will reuse it. Fuck it, just you don't care. So in this sense, you see they're really different. Okay, next slide. So again, is machine learning at competitions relevant to machine learning industry in any way? Yes, my answer is yes. Unlike many people who never tried competitions, they typically say no. I say yes. It's immensely impossible, helpful. It good lines in your resume, and which is more important, a lot of skill set that helps you to build your own products, if you're in a startup or maybe in a big company, everywhere. It's very, very useful. Competition provide new ideas. It's pretty common. I believe you all seen this. You guys work on competitions, or maybe at work or academia. You read a lot of papers, and you read some papers, just yeah, nice state-of-the-art paper. I like this trick, but I've seen this 6 months ago in this competition, in this thread at the forum that no one knows about. It's really common. So there's a lot of ideas. So if you follow forums, competitions, you can get a lot of really new, state-of-the-art, tips, tricks, something like. Another thing. So when at work, I'm looking, let's say I have some problem I need to solve. Okay, I Google some papers and a bunch of the papers on the topic, and every of the papers is claiming that they're not like everyone else. They're state-of-the-art. This is great, and there's 20 of them, and I have a problem. It's a bit different. What should I do? And checking all of them, it's a bit cumbersome. But what I would prefer to do, you look at the competition that is similar, and folks there, they already checked all these papers, and they can say which of them worth considering, which of them partial, and which of them is heavily overfitted to some benchmark data set. In this sense, yeah, this thousands of people checking ideas for you, just as long as you can parse this is great. Okay. Code for solutions and EDA. I like these papers which say this is a great idea, use it, but we will not give you code. This is cute. What should I do? Especially if paper is not that well written, you just look at this words, you kind of on the high level understand this, so what? How should I use it? I like papers that have code, and typically when I publish papers, I try to add even if code is simple. For example, my most quoted tech report, for fun with my buddy, we just submit a paper to and we called it Turnout.net. Turnout is my nickname at the GitHub, and something, something, something. So we submit my most quoted paper, most cited. All my physics work that I was doing in grad school, significantly lower. So, but for this paper, for this tech report, idea is simple, 2 pages, I shared the code, and that's what was helpful. Again, a lot of stars at the GitHub. So again, point for students, if you're writing some paper, think about releasing your code, even if it's badly written, still it can be useful for someone. And again, GitHub allows you refactoring in some, and community can improve on top of it. Okay, so machine learning skills developed in competitions complement skills developed in industry and academia. Okay, next step. So again, what happens in competitions? Competition setup. I always like this mismatch. It's kind of entertaining between organizers and competitors. Organizers, what we want. Organizers spend a lot of money. Kaggle is charging decent amount of money for hosting competition, for cleaning the data. For organizers, like sharing the data, privacy issues, it's like really a lot of effort. So you just expect something in return because you don't do stuff for free if you're a successful business. So organizers want accurate, light, generalizable, interpretable, production quality code that solves business problems. It's reasonable. That's what they expect. That's what naively they want, but from the point of participants, you're coming to Kaggle or any other platform, what do you have? Oh, sure, I'll give you accurate model. It's leaderboard, it's like metric, that's what we need to do. We'll use heavy ensembles. Why? Because after a single model is saturated, you average few of them on some kind of stacking, it goes better. And of course, there is no way that you'll get to the top of the competitions if you don't understand intrinsics of your data set and of your metrics. So translating this from English to English, you need to overfit to your data set and to your metric to get to the top. Overfitting to the data set and metric is not actually a big issue. In some sense, people overfit to the ImageNet in academia for the last 7 years. Still good insights, good achievements, it helps. So overfitting to the data set doesn't sound as bad as it can be. Okay, and of course, interpretable model at Kaggle, yeah, sure. I don't remember any case, some interpretations feature important, but interpretable, yeah, sure. At most, logistic regression if you want. Okay, so quality of the code we just discussed, kernels may be good, but if you look at winning solutions, some people, especially they have software engineering background, it looks good. Otherwise, code in competitions, it's only slightly better than in academia, and we all know what code comes from academia. And I know this because I wrote this code when I was in academia, and I look at this right now, just oh my God, someone killed me. So. And of course, do we care about your business values when no, we just don't care from the word at all. Your business value is your problem. For us, leaderboard, overfitting, private, public, metric, business values, your mission, it's your problem. Okay, next one. So what I like in competitions at Kaggle, there's big, every time I participate, so I participate not only at Kaggle. This year, I wasn't even that active at Kaggle. I participated more in some kind of competitions in conjunction with academic conferences. Why? Because for my career, for my resume, it looks much better. These keywords like CVPR or Mikai, they are much more better. Kaggle, again, still, sadly, not that many people know that Kaggle exists, especially in the academia, which I hope will change, and more competitions, research-wise, will be hosted at Kaggle. Okay, so real-time leaderboard, this is huge. I believe you guys know, you do your submission, it's middle of the night, and you're kind of tired, you have no energy, just click, something was training you in the day, and just you improve by 20 places. Oh my God, it's better than coffee. You just wake up, you have some brilliant ideas, you forget what you do in the morning, some meetings, very important, interviews, whatever. You start coding because what? It gives boost. Hormones, endorphins, serotonin, I don't know this words. But something basically is happening there. And so you do this, and when it doesn't, still kind of upsets. And also, I remember this competition, it was all state, I believe, tabular data, stacking, anonymous data. I participate in this probably for the whole month. I finished 40th, doesn't really matter, silver model, whatever. What I remember there, in the evening, let's say you place 20, you wake up in the morning, you place 40. You just okay, for the whole day, you just write something, you get up, and then you go to your bed. Then you wake up, same business. And this is happening for the whole month. So basically, I like how someone called it the forum Red Queen's race. To stay, to stand in the same place, you need to run all the time with all your energy. So yeah, this adds a lot of motivation to study, and there is no way, study solutions, blog posts, kernels, papers, everything, your own creativity, which again, kind of encouraged by this real-time leaderboard is huge. When I talk and give feedback to the people that organize competitions at CVPR and some other colleges, guys, you're trying to optimize some metric, novelty, whatever. You should optimize the number of participants that do submission to your competition, and you should have a real-time leaderboard. It's such a huge thing. It's kind of not in the center of your attention, but it's more than huge. Prize money, Kaggle points may be secondary. Real-time leaderboard is a really huge thing, and I'm thankful for Kaggle for just having this issue, and it's really big. Okay, gamification, of course, global rating and titles, Kaggle Grandmasters, sounds great. I'm proud. My mother doesn't know what it is, but she's also proud of me. And again, it's line in my LinkedIn, line in my resume, so maybe it may be worth something in someone's eyes. At least for those that tried it. Okay, next one. Forum kernels, enormous amount of knowledge. It's aggregated there, and like no one outside of the Kaggle knows that this knowledge exists, which is again very sad, but still, I mean, if you know and you can get into this, like it exists there. Thousands of participants, they fight with each other, share knowledge, and again, so on the left picture, real-time leaderboard, on the right, some kind of forum and like votes. I mean, these numbers are insane, or kernels or whatever they have there. 700 upsamples. It means like how many? A few thousands like looked at this. This is a lot. Most of the academic papers, I mean, my first like paper in my grad school in UC Davis has 2 citations. I'm assuming it means that, let's say, 10 people read it, or something like this, or no one really cares about my research. Not all of it, early research. But anyway, but like for Kaggle and kernels, like significantly, like number of people is huge. Okay, another thing that I like about this huge number of participants, this real-time leaderboard, just Bayan discussed hyperparameter tuning, random search, like hyperopt, like some other great like numerical things. This is all very cute and very great. But it's not even close, I mean, to what I call human grid search. When you have 3,000 people, 5 or even 6,000 people at recent Santander competition, and they use their knowledge, background, creativity, different hardware, everything to just like pass and fight and something and explore all possible phase space. And it's not just like values of learning rate or like depth of the trees. They explore all of them. Like they use their own grid search. So this like human grid search, it's a huge thing. And that's why typically for any like, you know, company that hosts competition at Kaggle, solution that their data scientists developed like within the last 6 months and their state of the art, it's just basically beaten within a week and maybe days. Just it's not surprising. This human grid search is powerful tool. And questions, how can you take advantage of this, you as a machine learning engineer or researcher? And I would say it's like this, like you need to be able to parse this information, you need to be able to understand it, and also, you know, of course, it definitely helps if problem that you have in hands is similar to what is stated in Kaggle. Only small amount of problems that you face in industry and related to data can be stated in the form of the Kaggle competitions. This is sad, but such is life. But still, I mean, if it is possible to state it in the form of Kaggle competition, and you just like there is similar competition, and there was a lot of participants, and you're able to parse this knowledge that is generated there, which is non-trivial. I believe right now, many of you, just like try this experiment, take like any competition from recently, like open like, you know, top solution that, you know, people shared at the end, just, you know, 1 page of some text, and then show to your coworker and tell them, and this like, you know, also who's doing machine learning, like, but who doesn't, like, how many words out of this Kaggle slang will they understand? Just, yeah, not obvious knowledge. Next one, okay. Do Kaggle achievements help to get machine learning job? Answer is not really. I would say no, except one thing, it helped me. When I was going from physics in my resume, there was nothing related to data science. I even learned that the word data science exists only 4 years ago. So like I just had some Kaggle and I was able to solve, like I had a lot of knowledge and I'm learning fast. Again, physics is great background, but still, I mean, convincing HRs to look at your resume and then passing this was really tricky. So like, you know, HRs do not really value Kaggle achievements. As an additional bonus, yes, but by itself not, and which is like, again, I also believe they should not. Skills that Kaggle develops in extremely efficient way, and I believe for narrow like subset of the machine learning skills, Kaggle is like 10x or 100x more efficient learning environment than academia or work, but it's only a small subset. There's significantly bigger number of things that you need to like be useful in your company and bringing value, just, I mean, much bigger. So if you are a student right now, like someone else, and you want to find machine learning job, like forget about Kaggle right now and invest into LeetCode. Sure, these algorithms and data structure and other like, you know, competitive programming will not be useful to your work most likely, but that is what is tested at the interviews, and even right now in different levels, your salary is proportional to the number of problems and the difficulty that you can solve during interviews. So if you're looking for machine learning engineer, like LeetCode is your friend, Kaggle is not. But at the same time, when you got this job and you want to boost your machine learning skills and have a nice addition and move from, let's say, boring backends like front end or some other end to something more exciting like machine learning, artificial intelligence, some other like, you know, buzzwords, Kaggle is a good thing. Like Kaggle is great and it can help you. And again, as I've said, like it helped me to move from debt collection agency where I was building recommender systems to self-driving, computer vision, deep learning, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I mean, so Kaggle skills a great addition to your skill set. It's not main thing for you, but it's great addition. And again, for all students in the audience, for you, it's must have to like, you know, to invest into Kaggle. And when I mean invest, like I basically, there are like threshold that you consider kind of, if you, there's like, you're a Kaggle master or not. Basically, build a Kaggle expert and Kaggle novice and something like this. It's not that exciting, not that important. There's a lot of noise there, blending kernels and doing some other solutions. Interesting stuff in competitions happens close to the top. That's where like real like fight, because I mean information is available to everyone, and so like only like you need to get high based on your creativity, maybe a bit of luck, but still, I mean, I would say sure, like difference in metric is so small that it's luck, but if you look at the competitions, same people are at the top. So I mean, and you can't think that they're like lucky, they're just better in cross-validation and everything else. Okay? So yeah, like I mean, and I also believe that getting Kaggle master, I mean, with background like in machine learning, if you're in academia or somewhere else, it's a question of a few months. It will kill few evenings, and I mean number of evenings, many evenings, and a few weekends. But I believe like Kaggle master is achievable, and every decent machine learning engineer should just like like train his or her machine learning muscles like in this domain. Okay, so next one. So if you think about competitions, 4 main steps. I mean, first step that you typically do, and it's very important, hackish end-to-end pipeline. People tend to say, okay, we need to understand what's happening. That just doesn't matter. Just copy, paste, steal, I mean, previous solution, adapt it, git clone, whatever you want. As long as it maps your data into cross-validation score that correlates with leaderboard and basically your submission in the correct format, this is good enough. If you don't understand 99% of them, such is life, it's not a big problem. For the first step, it doesn't matter. You need hackish end-to-end pipeline, because after this, you'll do iterations. You build on top of this, you'll understand code better, refactor it, like make it more modular, like maybe add some tests, like throw away like some parts of the code that you don't understand, but still you dig, iterations, similar to, again, to students when you write a scientific paper, you write some draft, and then you do a lot of iterations to make it sharper and better. I mean, similar business here. Then you do iterations, you're stuck, you're out of ideas, so you're burnt out or something like this. As I've said, you look around like stuff at the leaderboard and then like look for teammates, merge, and then ensembling. Thing that blamed the most by those that never tried competition, and I'll talk a bit about it. Okay, so hackish end-to-end pipeline. So it's ultra important to like both like in competition, just like question of survival, and in industry, it's also very important. Typically, again, if you have like some, let's say if your question at work, okay, we have working pipeline, you need like to do grid search and explore what like phase space, like what parameters will give slightly better score. This is boring, and I'm not talking about this like work. It's just like try to avoid this. This is lame. But if you're like facing new problem, maybe you're a startup and you're exploring something, or maybe like already there's a pipeline and scale is big, let's say Google, Facebook, whatever you want, and every small improvement in the metrics brings millions to you. That's where it's important. You need to do a lot of iterations. Number of ideas is enormous. You can get it from Kaggle, from your imagination. Still, machine learning is a new field. It's applied field. And in this sense, I mean, just too many things should be tried, because there's no good theory behind machine learning, and especially deep learning. It's like alchemy in many ways. So just like, trial and fail, and again, iterations. So if you have pipeline, you should have pipeline as soon as possible, and then a lot of iteration. So I mean, so how do you do this pipeline? Data preprocessing, training, inference, validation, submission generation. First 4 steps, they're like the same in industry and in competitions, and only like submission creation is like specific to the competitions. As I've said, when you're looking for your code, I mean, it's great if you can write it from scratch. And for many problems, I would prefer to write my own code from scratch, just because I mean, I understand it. I mean, I believe my like software engineering skills is higher than what you find at Kaggle and things like this. So yeah, so you can write on from scratch, which is good, but like pretty often you take your solution for someone else from previous competition and like refactor this and like move to another data format and just make it. That's what you do. At Kaggle, like enormous amount in the last 2 years, like how many problems were about semantic image segmentation, especially binary one, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Works great and like moves you to the top. Like winning solution from the previous problem gives you strong baseline on the next one. Okay, so again, winners tend to share their solution, which again, like and they typically share them on GitHub on like open source MIT or something like this license. Just get this, just use it. And again, competitions, yes, like industry, sure, why not? Okay. And again, people share code, kernels. Again, thanks Kaggle for like having this opportunity, like for people to share their code and knowledge at kernels, because as I've said, like text is good, but code is much better. Okay, next one, fast iterations. Fast iterations for like startups, I believe it's a question of survival. You need to check ideas, like product fit and things like this, features. You should move very fast. Move fast, break things. For things like self-driving, it's also very important because problem is hard. No one knows how to solve it that well. Like to the question where self-driving is driving you right now on the street and it works. So yeah, a lot of like overall your model quality in like industry and in competition is proportional not to the number of like hours that you spend on this, but to the number of stupid ideas that you checked. Because sometimes stupid ideas work, and often great ideas don't work at all. And only way to check it through iterations, cross-validation, things like this. With every iteration, you check new ideas, and of course, it is good. Like, I mean, you should check these ideas in such a way that your code quality becomes like more structured, more modular, to allow for better, like, later iterations. It's tempting to decrease code quality and hack through like make it look worse, but yeah, typically I would prefer when I check new ideas to make it in such a way that code becomes better. And ideas come from your own creativity. This is my main source because, I mean, at least that's what I think. Typically, you find similar ideas someone else invented, but still, creativity is good. Like other participants forum, academia papers, still, I mean, I have many questions to academia, especially like, in machine learning domain. But I mean, guys like make money for living, a lot of new ideas, field is growing exponentially. Papers, blog posts, like another trend that I like in academia, people started again sharing their code, which is like great. And yeah, so academia is a huge source. I would say like 80% of the ideas come from the academia, from papers and everything. Community, again, previous solutions. If you speak Russian, your life is a bit easier because in Russia we have these meetups every week where winners from competitions share their insights and discuss with people what and how. And it's recorded on YouTube, but like people are lazy to write subtitles in English. That's why, I mean, if you speak Russian, you have huge advantage at Kaggle. I mean, I'm not joking. If you look, like how many people speak Russian in the world, let's say like at most like 2 or 3%, yeah? How many Russian-speaking people you have in top 100 of Kaggle? At least 20. So, I mean, definitely it helps. Okay, then books, blog posts, TV shows. I mean, sometimes I remember I was like working on some Walmart weather prediction problem at some point, and I was like watching some TV show, I Met Your Mother or something like this. I don't remember, not really relevant. And like, wow, nice feature came into my mind. I like, stopped everything and like went coding and yeah, finished 15th in that competition. Okay, so about fast iteration, example number 1. I cannot and I will not talk to you about how it's useful at work, but it's very helpful. Let's give you like some like anecdotal examples at work. It was, I believe, August of 2016. 17, okay, 17. Middle of August 17, and I was drunk. Basically, for all that time, I tried to get a job in computer vision again, like in my resume, debt collection agency, recommender system, traditional machine learning. This is good, but how it's related to anything? And it was like rejections all the time, and just it's frustrating. And like one of the comments that HRs told me, man, I mean, you don't have any papers in deep learning, computer vision. How dare you consider yourself like even a person who knows what's happening? Like, and because power's on their side, I couldn't do anything. So I was drunk. And I got this after like 3rd beer. I was like, got this, maybe drunk means 8th beer, whatever. I got this brilliant idea. And I messaged my friend, like Alexei Shvets. He was postdoc at MIT at the time, just like, Alexei, let's have like this trick. We look for some competition in conjunction with the conference. We make a submission. We get to the last place, because I mean, we will spend a small amount of time. Then we will write a paper about solution, problem statement, problem, and we'll say, we are not like everyone else, we're state of the art. Good enough. She just like, sure, let's do it. It was 8 days before the end of the competition, Gianna. So I downloaded the code, those 3 sub-challenges. Not that much time to go, so I cleaned the data, took my winning solution for 3rd place from DSTL, and machine learning fit predict, Alexei wrote tech report, and I'm coming to this con. And then it's August 30, and Alexei said, Vlad, there's another challenge in the same workshop, this robotic business, and they moved deadline by 4 days. So we have 4 days. Let's do the same, do few more submissions, again, paper, last place. We're not like everyone else. We're state of the art. And so I'm coming to this conference, researchers and people that work in medical imaging. And for me, polyps, it's foreign to me. I'm good with numerics, good with coding, good with machine learning, but domain knowledge was and I expected last place. So we're giving presentations as a winners, first research group, second, I'm a bit intimidated, and they didn't tell you result. You do submission, they don't tell you result. So 4th, I'm just coming, guys, one slide, he's simple solution, fit predict, I apologize for your time, I'm not an expert in the field, just something coming back, then all 10 research groups, and then they say, Vladimir, out of this 3 sub-challenges, we got 2 first places and 1 3rd place, and this is good, papers, and here's picture from you with some check for crazy $200 of the prize or something like this. But still, and then second one, same workshop, first group, second, just guys, I do exactly the same, fit predict, there's no novelty, just Kaggle baseline from winning solutions. And again, like 2 first places, 1 second place. So overall, like, I mean, we got papers from like both of these challenges. And again, it's point to the students, for your graduation and grad school and something like this, you need some papers. They may be deep, they may be not, they may be just tech reports, but like, descriptions of the challenges, they go pretty well at the conference, they accept it, maybe not NIPS, but still, I mean, something works. And this is probably, I was still working as debt collection agency at the time, so probably it's the first and the only time in history when debt collection agency won competition in medical imaging. Second one, I'm coming back, and then I already got offer from Lyft, and I have some break, and I'm looking, there's like competition at Kaggle, Carvana Image Masking Challenge. I take my top solution from the previous slide, there is 700 teams, I'm great, I'm proud, I'm not like everyone else, we just like, I showed like high style to this like guys in academia. I do submission, and I'm somewhere in the bottom 10%. I'm checked for bugs, no, I'm still in the bottom 10%. This is not cool, so I started thinking, iterating here and there. I mean, so somehow, like with new ideas and new insights, like I got to the 5th place, and then folks who were in the 2nd place, they suggested to merge into the team. So here and there, and we got like 1st place, overcoming best fitting, who is like 1st place at Kaggle right now by probably on this metric like 6th digit at the decimal point. It was just like such a luck, but still, I mean, we were first and he is not. So overall, like we spent 10 days on this. We got first out of 753 teams. I have blog post with description of the stuff. We split it 12,000 in prizes. And again, I wrote like this tech report about turnouts.net. That's basically my most quoted paper, and just basically just like UNet with like pre-trained encoder on BGG. Everyone like stupid idea, but like I mean, apparently it was useful to someone, which is cool. So again, point to those that participate in competitions, like write tech reports. First of all, it can help you in terms of your career or whatever it is. At the same time, which is more important from my understanding, enormous amount of knowledge dies at the forums and kernels. And maybe Kaggle can do something about this and encourage people to write more like on the insights. But again, so as a students, just basically write, and participants write some tech reports, blog posts, like just in a human being readable language. It will help someone and like reduce the amount of duplicated work in the world, and yeah. Okay, 3rd example, and I mean like, 6 months later, middle of the April, I think I was sober, but still, I mean, I look at the deadline, I was planning to go to CVPR, and I'm looking for, like what like maybe challenges, because there's plenty of challenges, and we look CVPR, Deep Globe, again, segmentation, some instance segmentation, whatever it is, and like, 2 weeks left, I see like this is good, like 3 challenges, 2 weeks, we need like to do again like last place, we're not like everyone else, like papers here, there, and papers, CVPR workshop. HRs like this. You add this to resume, and it opens some doors, even if your solution is lame. As I've said, like competitions in conjunction with conference, often, but not always. Sometimes they're pretty tough, but often they're like, significantly easier than it should be. And so again, like 2 second places, 1/3, and like 3 papers accepted the workshop, and we did this all within 10 days. Yeah. So again, fast iterations are crucial. Having pipelines is good. I mean, move fast, break things. Okay, so about teamwork. Teamwork in competitions. And what you do in industry is really, really, really different. As I discussed above, I mean, in industry, like number of skills that you want to have at work, it's so huge that that there is no way that one person can like have all of it. That's why at work you typically have plenty of people that have supplementing skills, and again, it can be different geographies, and somehow another question how to make all of this business work. And often big projects involve huge teams. And I mean, so bottom half, like I just try to emphasize with these pictures that I mean, we need to have some diversity in terms of skill set. And Kaggle, again, like we have all similar skill set, maybe some difference here and there, but overall we all know machine learning, how to write pipelines, how to write code, maybe better or worse, slight difference here, but like skill set is very, very, very similar. Okay, so still teamwork, I mean, I just talked about the teamwork is different, and mapping from Kaggle to industries doesn't work that well in this domain, but still teamwork at Kaggle is great. So like, I mean, at Kaggle, working on competitions, even not meeting like many people in person. For example, this like stuff about that we did at Gian and robotics for this like with Alexei Shvets. I met him like a year later in person, and we already were in close relationship after this like teamwork. So now through competitions, we were collaborators for open source projects, co-authors for scientific papers, new colleagues, some few people we hired like to our team, and again new friends that I'm just like spend time. This is good, yeah. So basically, Kaggle is good like also social environment. If you're active there, it's not enough to do submission. Try to like talk more at the forum, comment at the kernels, ask questions, answer questions. This is important. Generates more knowledge, but also makes people know that you exist, and maybe some will like you. Okay, About ensembles, this is painful topic. Have few minutes. So I mean, ensembles is painful topic, and people in the industry complain that ensembles are lame. And so they say, okay, like what is Kaggle? I mean, there's no solution. You like take few like models, they're weak, you take ensemble, and basically, I mean, that's it. There is no like machine learning. It's not like useful. This is lame. The issue with this, to some extent, they're right. Ensembles are used in industry, but not as wide, like I mean, as like single models, because constraints on lightness and inference time and everything like this. But at the same time, there is no way that you'll get like to the top with an ensemble that consists of like, you know, weak similar models. I mean, it's not enough to have like 10x boost, they're lame, and like, well, at that problem maybe you do this. No. Top solutions, ensemble of strong, diverse models. And building by yourself, or maybe by a small team, set of strong, diverse models is really not trivial. It's like different algorithms, different feature engineering, different approaches, different post-processing. This is not tricky. So here's an example. This like Carvana challenge that I mentioned above that we did like in 10 days, 12,000 and this one. So we got first, and we combined 20 models. We counted. If you do training on the one GPU Titan or like GTX 1080 Ti, it would take, and it took us like 10 days in total for this like problem, it would take for training about 90 days, and it would take to do inference about 13 days on one GPUs. So like we had 20 models. I mean, we have, you know, many GPUs. I don't remember how many. That's why we made it faster. But still, I mean, if you look at the models that we averaged, like, so here's the bottom. So this is basically, we have like some 5 folds. And there's like, you know, private score there on the right, and there's, you know, private leaderboards place. If you just take like models that you have from the different folds, do inference, no post-processing, just as it is. Guys, it gets in top 15 out of this like 700. It's still very valuable. And because difference between scores was so small, I mean, top Kaggle solutions, sure, they don't go to production. And as I said, like, I know 0 examples when it is the case. But if you strip ensembling and pick proper model and like remove some heavy operations, sure, you may lose something in accuracy, but still useful. When winning solution in Kaggle presents the, you know, code to the organizers, one of the questions that's typically asked in the presentation, what can we like throw away from your solution to get 70% of your accuracy, but like to make it significantly lighter? And yes, like any top solution falls in this category. I mean, to my knowledge, throw away ensembling, everything else still good. Okay. Ensembles number 2, even these heavy ensembles, they are useful. So typically in industry, what do you have? You have enormous amount of like unlabeled data and really small amount of labeled data. And labeling is hard, labeling is expensive. For big companies, it may require, I don't know, huge teams that develop like labeling tools, huge teams that do actual labeling, human management that like manages this, and some, yeah. So basically, I mean, kind of like, yeah. But for active, so way to deal with this, pseudo labeling or active learning and ensembles there, inference time significantly worse, but like kind of helps. Okay, next. So what gives you, what competitions give you? When you, like, I believe that every decent machine learning engineer or researcher should become Kaggle master. I mean, below Kaggle master doesn't count. Kaggle master in competitions, that's like your goal, at least. Kaggle master probably too much, but Kaggle master is good enough. So to get Kaggle master, it's 2 silver medals, 1 gold medal in 3 competitions. The competition typically different, so if you get there, most likely you develop your muscles in a bit different like domains. Kaggle Grandmaster, it's a bit of overkill, but still you can do it. At least Dmitry and a few folks also get this. So again, and Kaggle is good, and I believe Bayan and someone else talked about this. You develop stuff in many different domains. Computer vision, natural language processing, time series tabular data, mixed data, even in computer vision, different applications. And again, right now, if I meet some problem that I never like worked with, like time series, let's say speech recognition, I never worked with this data, but I believe my background in all these different like competitions and industry and something like this will allow me to like develop hackish pipeline pretty fast, maybe copy paste, still I'll figure out what's happening there, and then iterate and become like a decent person with knowledge in this field like within a small amount of time. Okay, so I tuned someone's solution. I didn't develop my own. What did I get? You adopted someone's badly written code. This is a lot. You get the habit to explore the data because data is the thing. I mean, people talk about cross-validation. It's very important. When you work with computer vision tasks, visual inspection of the data is more important than your validation that you're doing. You need to see what your models is trying like to work with, like areas of the images. Cross-validation is good, but visual inspection is more important. Okay, so understanding of the problem, infrastructure, new pipeline, solves type of the task. So in my private repo at GitHub, enormous amount of pipelines that developed from previous competitions and side projects. And when I face something new, I mean, my entry point is significantly lower because huge parts are copy-pasted or refactored. You don't try this from scratch. And again, I mean, it's kind of fallible. Next one, okay, almost last slide. So Kaggle skills are very useful, but only as an addition to other skills, to your academic skills, to your industry skills, to your business skills, soft skills, something else. Here's like, a picture for some blog post that I wrote about 2 years ago, that I mean, sure, industry competitions and academia in terms of machine learning, they have overlap, but it's not that big, and this also means the skills complement each other really well. Again, every machine learning engineer should become Kaggle master. If you're not Kaggle master, find some time, invest into this. You will learn a lot about yourself, about the rest of the world, about new technology, and also develop these machine learning muscles, okay? So thank you. Here's my Kaggle, LinkedIn, Twitter, and I'm out of time, yeah?